Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing how to fix the movie watching burnout. You know how it is. You see a bunch of movies, you get real excited, maybe you take a deep dive into a genre, and one day you wake up and you realize that you're kind of sick of movies, but you still want to keep watching movies. Or maybe you're taking a break and you just kind of can't quite feel that magic again that you felt that caused you to watch all of those movies in the first place. So I have 5 strategies that have worked for me. Some are a little bit more time consuming than others, but they all have helped me personally. Okay, this is after 10, 15 years of serious movie watching that I wanted to share with you. And the first one is a very simple strategy that I think we all do almost instinctively, but you can take a movie that you already know you love, you enjoy it, it's a favorite of yours, and find another movie that has an actor that you really enjoyed from the movie and just watch it again if you haven't seen it in a long time, or maybe watch something completely new with that actor. This worked for me recently. I'll give you an example of how. So I have been wanting to kind of pick up my maybe American movies. I haven't really clicked as much with them lately, and I've kind of been on a movie slump. And so I was preparing some videos for the channel, and I realized I haven't seen The Deer Hunter in a long time. Now that stars Robert De Niro in one of his really good roles, and I made a whole video about that. But I've been such a fan of Goodfellas forever. It's one of my top 10 movies. So I put in The Deer Hunter. I hadn't seen it in 10 plus years. And I had a whole new appreciation for the actor, other actors in the movie. Maybe you want to go back and look at Meryl Streep movies, Christopher Walken movies. It made me want to, watch more Michael Cimino. And it kind of got me back into that 70s, 80s vibe again. And I think that is as much of an effective strategy as anything. Taking an actor, actress, whatever, and find another film of theirs that either you haven't seen or you haven't seen in a long time. That will sometimes help you to connect those mental dots again, okay? And my number 2, and this one is not as time consuming, you can do this one in a few minutes if you want, is take a director or actor that you like, okay? And literally look them up on YouTube. So I'll give you an example. Martin Scorsese on movies, or anybody that you like. And you'll be able to find them talk about movies. So there's a channel that does this. They're called James Well Bake Sale. Some of you that are into this may have seen them. And that channel will have short snippets about a director talking about another famous movie or something like that. And every time I listen to those kinds of things, or actor roundtables, or I'll hear directors talk to other directors, that gets my movie brain going again. Because that is the sort of passion for movies that maybe I'm missing if I've just been kind of mechanically going through a series of movies, or just hearing someone talk passionate about movies again kind of might remind me of a certain reason I like movies. Oh, it's been a long time since I've really paid attention to the cinematography in this way. Or maybe I haven't been looking at acting in this way, something like that. So that strategy often works for me, and I find myself getting very excited for new movies and to watch movies again when I do that, okay? My third strategy, and this is one that you can also use just for discovering new films, is have a list or a series of lists of films that you sometimes go back through and just sort of browse through, of films that you know are of a high quality. I frequently like to go to the Sight and Sound 2002 poll. There's a critic's version, and then there's a director's version. There are different kind of takes on that list, and you can even look at what certain directors like Martin Scorsese gave as their top 10, and kind of going through and being able to compare and sort of rank these things. And would you put that movie at this high of a spot, or maybe you haven't seen this one, and ooh, this looks kind of like this one. That is a good way to reconnect your brain in tune with film, okay? That always works for me. If you want to take something that's not quite as artsy, it's the general statement there, but you could go and look at the AFI Top 100 list. There are 2 of them. They redid their own list. And one that I'm going to throw out here that I've found useful to get me excited about even new kinds of movies is Jonathan Rosenbaum, who's a critic who has been at it a long, long time, and he's been a a main critic on Rotten Tomato forever, or Rotten Tomatoes or was, he has an alternate top 100 that he wrote as kind of a contrarian piece, sort of complaining about the AFI lists. And that has 100 really cool movies on it. And some of them I've seen, and they kind of, you get the idea. You go through all these movies, and if you have a good list, it can kind of help refresh you. Okay. Two other lists that I use, I often go to Roger Ebert's great movie list, because when he was alive, he wrote reviews for so many movies, and they're fun to read, and they kind of get my brain ready again for movies. And one more, Dennis Schwartz Aussie Movie Reviews. That's one that's frequently mentioned on Rotten Tomato. Dennis Schwartz Aussie Movie Reviews. I think it's called something like that. I've actually emailed him before, and he's gotten back to me. I told him I really like this top 10 list, and he has a top 10 list of every year, and he watches a ton of films. So all of these lists and these directors and all these people who know a lot about movies, they will get that passion, and they will help reignite that for you. Okay, I promise it works, at least some of the time. Now, my number four suggestion is a little bit more time consuming, and it kind of narrows you down to like one movie. So one thing that I have found that I've been doing that has really changed the way that I talk about movies and think about movies and life in general, I like to sometimes take a book, and I just did a video on this, like The Remains of the Day, for example. That was a very good novel that had an Anthony Hopkins adaptation. And I will read the book and simply watch the movie, and just, if I know that they're both quality pieces, and I will try to actually like engage mentally with the differences and similarities. And I know that might sound kind of like, well, obviously you should do that. You should read the book and watch the movie. But if you actually make an intentional effort to do that every so often, you're going to find that you get both more into books and into movies, and those two things play off of each other so well. So I really encourage you to do that. One way you could do that if you're burnt out on movies is, like, let's say take a movie that you've seen, like maybe The Godfather. Like if you're a Godfather fan, you could literally just go read the novel and kind of go back, and then you could have an excuse to rewatch those movies, and all of a sudden maybe you're getting back into gangster movies. Maybe you go to watch some James Cagney gangster movies. Like, these things really open up those opportunities for your brain, okay? Because sometimes it's just about getting that jump start, all right? And that has helped me too. I wouldn't necessarily recommend, like, reading the entirety of War and Peace and then watching the the Criterion version. I don't know, maybe that's what you should do, but that's just a suggestion. And number 5, and this is something that I try to do at least once every blue moon, okay? If you grew up when I did in the 90s, Siskel and Ebert, and I mentioned Ebert earlier, but specifically Siskel and Ebert as a host of a movie review segment on TV, they were so hilarious and articulate and fun to listen to, whether they liked the movie or hated it or disagreed, especially when they disagreed. And I will just sometimes go and look up movies, Siskel and Ebert review, and I'll take one that I think they might have reviewed, okay? And then I'll listen to them talk about movies again, similar to how I talked about with directors. And hearing those two guys give their all to these, like, movie reviews, it just energizes me as a film goer. Just even if you're not burnt out on movies, you absolutely have to see the Frozen Assets review. That review of Siskel and Ebert is like the funniest thing I've maybe ever seen in my life. Just Frozen Assets, you got to look it up. And whether or not you're like, thinking about a movie critically that you love, or just kind of laughing at a dumb movie with them, it does just make you fall in love with movies all over again. Okay, so I really recommend doing that. And there are a lot more online than there used to be. You can go all over the internet and find those. So those are 5 strategies that work for me. What are some strategies that you like to use that help kind of get that movie brain going again when you're kind of burnt out? You don't really know what else to do with your film watching career. I know I do YouTube, so I have to be very conscious about keeping this passion alive for myself. And so, got to practice what I preach here. If you are enjoying the content, go ahead and please do me a favor and click that like button. Like buttons, they grow YouTube channels. Comments help as well, and I would love to hear, like I said, your strategies. And subscribe if you have not already done so. That would be great too. We'll see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.